Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. It's noon, not morning anymore. And welcome to our Webinar Wednesday series for the Texas Association of College and University Student Personnel Administrators, also known as TACUSPA. TACUSPA enhances higher education and student success by cultivating relationships and engagement that promote leadership development among current and aspiring student affairs practitioners and scholars. Our vision is leading innovation in student development, engagement, and success. TACUSPA is an association of administrators, staff, faculty, students, and others interested in the professional administration of student affairs programs in higher education. The association's core values include development, advocacy, and networking. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, TACUSPA 2024 Conference Q&A. My name is Josh Meredith. I'm currently now the new Associate Director of Student Activities at, not a Texas school, the University of South Alabama here in Mobile, Alabama. Go Jags. I was recruited out here by a former TACUSPA member, was at a community college in Texas, but I'm still finishing my term as the Director of Webinars, Chair of Webinars program for TACUSPA. I did this before we started recording, but I want to make sure it's on the record and thank our sponsor, Odessa College. They're the ones hosting the Zoom, the webinar, the back end, the technical. Alex has been tremendously helpful in helping make sure all the back end things work smoothly. And so, Alex, Odessa College, thank you. I also, as a former Thomas Mormon fellow, I want to give a shout out to the TACUSPA Foundation for sponsoring the Thomas Mormon Fellowship Program. I had that on my script from last month when we showcased our fellows to y'all and left it in there because I think it's important. So now normally this is when I would go in and one by one give you a formal introduction to our presenters, but I'm going to let our presenters, once we get to their portion of today's program, I'll let y'all introduce yourselves. We have a lot of information to cover, a lot of questions to answer. And so if you did not have a chance to submit questions, we sent out an email, a link to submit questions about the TACUSPA conference, anything related to conference, sessions, networking, what to wear, anything at all, please put it in the Q&A feature or the chat. We can answer from either places, but drop that into the Q&A. We'll answer your questions. Today's webinar will have two parts. In part one, we'll hear from Jaime Salcedo, who will introduce us to the conference, give us tips for networking, kind of an overview, what to expect at the TACUSPA conference. And for part two, we have a panel that is joining us of TACUSPA leaders, and they'll answer any and all questions as long as we have time related to the TACUSPA 2024 conference. Like I said, drop those questions in Q&A as we move through the program today. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jaime. Jaime, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you for that, Josh. And we appreciate your service to TACUSPA with helping us with these webinars. They've been fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, get everything set up real quick. Okay. Can everybody see? Let me swap the displays. Can you all see the presentation okay? Cool. So I'm going to introduce myself real quick. My name is Jaime Salcedo. I am a currently serving as a TACUSPA fellow for the Presidential Shadow. And so I had the opportunity to kind of help out with getting together the TACUSPA, planning some of the events for this fall and preparing for next conference. So I'm super excited to be here. Part of this task was being able to provide this quick overview of what TACUSPA conference is, kind of set some expectations, and also introduce some leadership to that for the conference. So without further ado, we'll get started with today's agenda. I'm going to go ahead and start with welcome to TACUSPA, kind of see what Josh introduced, what the overview of the association is, but we'll also go more in depth about the foundation and what they do for our conference. Additionally, we'll provide some conference, why you should attend the conference, as well as some objectives and things like that. And then we'll go over conference logistics. We're going to highlight some pre-conference institutes that we are offering, as well as offer some session selection tips. I know for sometimes it's maybe our first time going to a professional conference or whatever the case may be. And so we just want to be able to provide you with some different types of sessions that we have and ways to select those. We'll be doing a quick overview of Networking 101, so tips for approaching peers, and then, of course, what are things to do in the San Marcos that can help promote networking. And lastly, how to stay connected with TACUSPA. and engage in the committees and what a fellowship looks like. So, welcoming to TACUSPA, we'll go ahead and introduce our co-chair for the conference this year, Brooke.
Howdy, everybody. My name is Brooke Arrington. I work full-time for Texas A&M University in the Department of Residence Life as their coordinator of assessment and planning. I've been with the department in A&M for going on 4 years now. But maybe more importantly, or where I like to spend my time is giving back to TACUSPA. So I also, as Jaime and Josh, started as a fellow 2 years ago. Did my fellowship project working with membership and looking at who are our members, what makes up TACUSPA, and how can we improve that. And then from that fellowship, I then applied and got the director of membership role. And so through that position, I oversee all of our institutional memberships, ask or answer questions about memberships, and really help to make sure that our website and everything is smooth running in terms of membership information. And then I also, for 2022, am the conference co-chair. And the past year, we've been working hard on trying to get this conference up and going and as smooth as possible for our attendees. And then I will also be serving as a co-chair for 2025.
Nice. Thank you, Brooke. All right, so I figured we can go ahead and get started with what are some conference objectives?
Yes, absolutely. So these are a couple of our objectives that we are hoping that as an attendee or a participant in our conference that you ultimately walk away with. And they're outlined here, but basically we're wanting through the educational sessions and the keynotes for people to be able to find some innovative practices and strategies to be able to take that back into their professional settings and help ultimately improve that student engagement and success for our students. We hope through sessions like this and some of our networking opportunities at conference that people will be able to expand their professional network and connecting with other professionals across the state. And then we also hope that you understand some different opportunities for how to get involved with the association. And Jaime will talk about that a little bit further through the presentation. But talking about the different committees, attending the webinars, reading the emails, the newsletters, but then also recognizing that we have a journal that is a part of TACUSPA and figuring out how to support them. And one of our main initiatives as an organization is to give back to our graduate students and new professionals. And you'll see that by the educational sessions that we offer at conference, but also the many opportunities throughout the year for us to engage with new professionals and graduate students like the Thomas Mormon Fellowship. And then we also hope that participants reflect through their experience and what they want to learn and gain from coming to the conference. And we hope that people can identify some areas of growth and use conference to kind of start that process. And then lastly, we want people to identify some strategies that can help to promote and enhance that student development holistically and ultimately help with their academic success.
Nice. Thank you for that. Next, I kind of wanted to talk about the conference theme a little bit, Texas State of Mind. Can you give us a little bit of context to that?
Yeah, I was not a part of the conversation when the initial theme was kind of developed, but we have definitely taken it full force and kind of trying to make meaning of what that means. And you'll see through some of our graphics and through our marketing and different things that we are trying to encompass what a Texas state of mind looks like. But I also think that we are in a unique position in Texas where we need to stand alongside one another and support each other as things are kind of progressing. And so we have a unique position as an association to be a state focus rather than like a region focus. And so we can support each other through some of those challenges and different things that are happening that impact our state. And something that's been really cool the past couple of years, and we hope to bring it forward, is our partnership with institutions. And so we are able to host the conference at Texas State on their campus. And we are super excited about what that opportunity looks like. And a cool fact about Texas State is that they are the only Texas university to have a president that graduated from them. So that is a very cool little fun fact. But every year we try to tie in some sort of institution representation from the area that we're going to. And this year happens to be San Marcos and Texas State.
Well, I'm super excited to be hosting TACUSPA in my home. Eat 'em up. Yes, I'm a proud Texas State alum. But additionally, I think we'll also see the theme presented throughout the sessions and focus on what we can do to make sure to collaborate across the state to continue our ever expanding opportunities for growth. So, one last thing I wanted to ask you was, I hear about this foundation all the time. Can you give us just a little bit of information about what the foundation is?
Yeah, so the TACUSPA Foundation was established a handful of years ago that basically is a supporting function of TACUSPA. And it's kind of serves as like an overview of TACUSPA or people that can kind of make sure we are keeping the membership in mind, keeping our students in mind when making some different decisions, but then they also help us financially. And so they have a big campaign that's running and the silent auction and different opportunities at conference. But ultimately, they fund a lot of different opportunities throughout the year for our members in our association. So some big takeaways from the 2024 year is we've talked a lot about this fellowship and what that looks like, but our fellows actually get free registration and free hotel when they come to conference, and that is funded through the TACUSPA Foundation. So if we didn't have the support of the foundation, we likely would not be able to provide those opportunities. Again, going back to the graduate students, we provide a scholarship every year to some graduate students to be able to attend conference and waive that fee. And so we were able to do that. And then they also help us with different awards throughout the year and kind of running those processes. And so we name 4 awards every year.
Yeah. Shout out the foundation for my conference registration. Thank you for that. Learn about how you can get involved with the fellowship later on. But thank you, Brooke, for giving us a little bit of information about this year's conference. We're super duper excited for it. From this point on in this webinar, it's going to be more just generalist information about any conference that we host in the future. So let's get started with that. Going on to some conference logistics, I want to shout out some of the pre-conference institutes that we'll be hosting. First and foremost, we keep talking about that graduate student experience, but we really do want to create that pipeline from graduate student to professional membership. And this is one way to get involved with that. It does provide graduate students the opportunity to network with others in the field. I know when I was a grad student, I didn't know anybody outside of my cohort or my program, and I think it's just such a great opportunity to be able to learn from other people and see what those programs are like. Additionally, you can gain invaluable insights from seasoned professionals. There'll be a lot of conversations from people in the field that have either been in for the first 3 years or within 20 years of experience, just to have the opportunity to talk to them about what are some things to prepare for when you're working full time. Additionally, you can expand your understanding of key trends and practices in student affairs. We're always living and learning, and we'd love to be able to continue to share that experience with our graduate students. And so it's a great time to just get together, learn from seasoned professionals, and be able to continue to identify what are some things that we'll grow with together. We'll also have a new professionals institute. So this is really ideal for somebody who's, has less than 3 years of experience working in the field full time. And they'll be able to learn to equip tools for success through engaging in discussions, right? And so having the opportunity to have conversations with VPSAs or, people in the higher field, how do you continue to grow your career readiness even though you're new in your field, and expand your engagement with different opportunities as well. And of course, gain insights and help you navigating the field. We know that our field is ever changing and growing. And so, what are some things that I can continue to do and get involved with that continues my career growth? And lastly, we do have our Mid Managers Institute as well. And so these are really for people to elevate their leadership and management skills. This can be assistant director, associate director, and so on and so forth. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to strategically plan how to navigate institutional dynamics and just have great conversations. All of these institutes give you the opportunity to talk with others, to continue to expand your network. And like we said, that's one of those objectives we have. I did want to shout out some of the faculty members who will be speaking here. So within the TACUSPA 24 conference, like Dr. Becky Spurlock, Dr. Ashley Spencer Reynolds, Dr. John Kalufas, Heather Snow, and Dr. Anthony Edwards. So if you know any of those, be excited because they'll be presenting at our pre-conference. Okay, so some session tips. I know the first time I attended, I was overwhelmed. There's so many different great educational sessions. How do I choose one, and what are things to consider? So first and foremost, for our friends who are new in the field, professional and competency areas for student affairs professionals tend to be within these different ones. And so really, some of us may be really great at assessment and evaluation, but maybe need some help with ethical professional practices or so on and so forth. These are some great things to consider, and a lot of our sessions align with a specific type of competency in the field for you to grow from. And so I did want to cover some type of sessions that we have first, and then I'll give you some things to consider. The type of sessions we'll have is like lecture style. So, this is just kind of like, let me convey the information to you. What are you interested in promoting and understanding? We have roundtable discussions. These are more informal. They're able to have more engage in those conversations. Again, continuing to have kind of like that networking opportunity as well. And then panel presentations. So these are more like Q&A and incorporate a moderator to kind of engage in that conversation. So some things to consider when thinking about which session to pick are what competencies do you want to grow in, right? It's good to always do our self-assessment. What do we know really well? But also what are some things we don't and we want to learn more about? What institution type do you want to learn about? So there'd be different presenters from different institution types. If there's something specific that you want to learn about from community colleges, then I'd recommend going to see somebody who's presenting from a community college, and so on and so forth. What kind of programs do you want to bring back to your institution? I think this is the most vital part for me. I want to go learn and bring this information back. And so, is there a certain type of session that will help me identify a certain topic that we've been talking about in the office and we just don't know how to approach yet? And I can bring that back to my team. How familiar are you with the topic? If you're super duper familiar, then maybe it's something that you don't need to go through. I know there are so many things where I'm like, oh man, I have this great interest. I know a lot about this topic, and then I have this other session I'm interested in. Let me go ahead and just attend this new one that I don't know too much information about. And then follow up later on, right, with the other team. So there's always different ways that you can engage with the material, but I definitely recommend trying to hit up a topic that's new to you that you can learn from and grow from. And then lastly, how much do you want to engage in the content? Sometimes it's early in the morning and I am not up for talking, so I just need the lecture style, somebody feed me the information, or it's right after lunch and I need to be engaged in conversation or I will fall asleep, right? And so those are where those roundtable discussions come in. So these are just some things to ask yourself and consider when thinking about what sessions to pick from. So next we'll go ahead and cover Networking 101. I know my first conference, I was super scared. I didn't know how to approach people, or even ways to get involved outside of the conference. So I wanted to cover some tips for approaching your peers because we would definitely encourage you to do that. First and foremost, define what you want to achieve through networking, right? Before going to the conference, who do you want to meet? What are things you want to get out of this meeting? And are there career opportunities that you want to explore, right? Because like Josh said, he was able to get this position because he explored and networked through the conference. Practice your elevator pitch, be able to explain who you are, where you're from, and really what you want to get out of the conversation early on. Keep it short. It can be in between sessions, or even before a keynote speaker, whatever it may be. Be able to have that ready to go so people know who they're speaking to. Ask thoughtful questions. No questions are dumb questions, friends. This is super important. This makes you feel visible and helps you connect with others that have similar interests. And so, really be able to ask about, oh, I heard that you spoke about this in your session. I'd love to be able to learn more about this. Can you tell me some? And have it over dinner or at our sit together during our keynote speakers or whatever it may be, so that you can have those thoughtful questions. Participate in discussions and social media. Y'all, please use those social medias. We definitely do. You can tag us in them. We are really great at making sure to repost on our stories. I absolutely love seeing everybody's engagement that way. And it just helps us, again, feel like even though we may be from all different regions, we're here together to celebrate. And it's just always great to be able to see those things afterwards. Attend social events. I think sometimes we're like burnt out by the time of the thing, but I highly, highly, highly encourage you to go to like the president's reception or other night things, just so that you can get the opportunity to see them outside of that like professional light of a conference. Because we are people too, and we have a great time when we're just hanging out, chit-chatting, of course, about conference, but other things, and you get to learn so much more about all of the individuals who are on the planning committee and things like that. So don't be afraid to like ask a friend out to dinner or a local attraction or whatever the case may be. Have business cards ready, whether those are physical cards or virtual cards. Get a way to connect to them, even if it's just using ways like LinkedIn, so that you can follow up with some of these conversations you have later on. And lastly, create a personalized follow-up, right? Like, hey, I met you at the conference. I know we were super busy. I'm going to email you later and then follow up with that, with the conversation so that they can continue to build that relationship even outside of our conference times. Because some of these partnerships you have, last year's theme was power and partnerships. And I really speak to that because a lot of these partnerships I have now came out of the conference and we are now long-term friends. So yeah, super. I definitely recommend following up on some of these conversations I'll have. Speaking of having attending some social events, I wanted to highlight some spots specifically in San Marcos. San Marcos is my hometown. I absolutely love it. So if you have any questions about it, don't be afraid to ask me. You see me at the conference and want to know something, feel free to approach me. We are 30 minutes south of Austin and about 45 minutes south or north of San Antonio. So we're a perfect place if you want to go come before, want to go check something out, or stay a little after. There's all sorts of different opportunities for you to do that. Some local attractions that you have, and these are some great things to go visit, whether you're networking with somebody or bringing some of the colleagues or whatever it may be, is the LBJ Museum of San Marcos. So, like Brooke said, we are the only institution that graduated our president, LBJ, and so he has a lot of great material there. Just speaking a little bit about his time in San Marcos and in the at Texas State in the museum. We do have our Meadow Center glass bottom boat tours. It's one of the local attractions. We have this beautiful Ocarina Springs, where you were able to get on a glass bottom boat and just view the beauty of the sea life underneath our river. Our river's crystal clear and runs 72 degrees year round, so don't be afraid to jump in it if you have some time. Definitely recommend floating and all that great stuff too. We do have our San Marcos outlets, definitely on the outskirts of town, so a little away from Texas State and the college students. So if you need to get away just to breathe and enjoy some time, that's be a great spot. And then of course we have our Wonder World Cave and Adventure Park, and this is just a small amusement park that we have in town. Some local eateries, great places to get to chit chat over food would be Cafe on the Square. A lot of these are really, really close to Texas State and on our downtown area called the Square. And they're really affordable too. So I'd recommend Cafe on the Square, Italian Garden. Black's Barbecue is a little further, but if you enjoy barbecue, definitely hit it up. Craft House Kitchen and Tap, and then Palmer's Restaurant is a little more bougie if that's something you're interested in. So yeah, those are just some different things that you can get involved with in the San Marcos area to help, kind of integrate that networking. We're also going to be having our human bingo activity. And so you'll see it at check-in where you'll be able to receive a page of different things with specific statements where you can go and get somebody from the TACUSPA membership to sign off like, hey, we're both from this institution or we're both from community colleges or we're both interested in this topic, whatever it may be. That way, it's a great way to also facilitate that networking. If you are not sure how to outreach to somebody that you really want to, use it as an excuse because it's just everybody will be able to doing it and it'll be a great time. All right, so I kind of talked a little bit about the conference, and I wanted to hit up how can I stay connected with TACUSPA after the conference is over. And so there's different ways to do this and get engaged with the membership and the association in general. First and foremost, we do have different committees, and so I'll cover the few that we have, such as the Awards and Recognition Committee. And so these are really like those awards that we said at the beginning that are funded through the foundation. This committee will help with soliciting awards, nominations, and as well as selecting recipients. Conference committee, if you're interested in planning and being a part of next year's conference, shout out Brooke. There is a great opportunity for you to get involved and be able to provide feedback and being able to continue to grow what our conference experience looks like. And so we'll have a QR code at the end of the conference this year to see if that's something you're interested in. Marketing membership committee. So these are really our people who, if you do not follow us on social media, please do. But these are our friends who make all those great graphics, being able to provide newsletter information, celebrations throughout the year that are outside of just the conference, but just general updates as well. And all those great initiatives for making sure that TACUSPA is getting the word out. Research and Education Committee. So these are responsible for being able to organize educational opportunities as well as promoting scholarly engagement with the committee or with the association. And then lastly, if you really enjoy these webinar sessions, I definitely recommend Webinar Committee, which are just really important in being able to get us together and speak about specific themes and host different events, such as our, the next part of this webinar itself. And I wanted to get a chance to highlight the fellowship opportunity. So the fellowship's open to graduate students and new professionals. I would not have the confidence I have if it wasn't for this fellowship. And a lot of us on this, in the leadership portion, started this way. So if it's something that you're really interested, I definitely recommend it. Please don't be afraid to ask any questions about these to anybody who is, a current fellow or previous because we'd be happy to share our experiences. But it's really the opportunity to provide, specific things to our associations, such as for me, I'm the presidential fellow, so helping out with planning the conference. We have our webinars fellow. We have if you are really interested in presenting or submitting something into the journal, we have our journal fellow. Our marketing fellow, if you're really great with Canva and can just whip up something, definitely recommend that. And so each of these typically open up in the spring semester, the applications will be selected later on. So be on the lookout for that information either in our newsletter or on our social medias for you to be able to apply for the program. But there's a lot of great opportunities and benefits of being a fellow, such as, of course, like we said, that free registration and conference attendance, but additionally just networking and growing your professional network from everybody across the state. So that's all I have for you. If you can do me a favor, you can, of course, like I said, if you have not yet gotten connected with us on social medias, please feel free to scan that QR code and connect with us. And then I do have a survey for us to fill out to see if there's anything that we can do to continue to grow and get you connected, and if there's anything else that I can answer for you. So if you want to take a second to just complete that real fast, and then we can get ready to start transitioning to our next half. Does anybody need any more time for this before I take it off the slide? No? All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jaime, for that presentation and for just a plethora, a wealth of information as we move into conference season. I believe it's 11 days from today. Saw it on social media this morning. So 11 days from today, TACUSPA conference kicks off. Thank you for helping us all prepare as we lead into it. So this latter half of the webinar today, we're going to move into a panel where we're going to answer your questions. We had a handful of questions that were submitted via a Google form that went out via email. If you have any additional questions, anything that was covered loosely related to the conference, drop that in the Q&A and we'll answer it. But I'm going to turn it over to our fellow for my successor. I was the last webinars fellow, and this year's webinars fellow is Alyssa Garcia. So I'll let Alyssa introduce herself, and then Alyssa is going to facilitate the latter half of this webinar, which will be the Q&A. So Alyssa, I'm going to hand it off to you now.
Thank you, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Garcia. I am the Director of Student Activities at Odessa College. It's been a true honor to work with Josh. He has so much energy, so much excitement. I've always loved working with Josh. Me and him were advisors for student government together. So knowing that he was going to help me out with webinars, I was like, oh, that's awesome. But let's get to it. We have a panelist today that's going to consist of Neil, Shelby, Brooke, and Jaime to help answer some questions about the TACUSPA conference we have coming up. And I'm just going to go down the list of questions. Panelists, if you feel comfortable and confident answering it, I'll just let y'all unmute and then maybe kind of take turns. The first question is, when is the last day to cancel registration and still receive a full refund?
I can answer that question. So that date is based off of when conference occurs, and it is outlined in our bylaws. And I can't remember the exact date, but it is when late registration starts. So I believe that was sometime over the weekend. But any financial questions can go to our treasurer, or you can email the conference email at TACUSPA, and that will get routed to me, and then I can connect you with our treasurer and we can get that figured out. We have processed a lot of refunds the past couple of weeks with people using the wrong credit card or no longer attending, so we will definitely see what we can do for people and try to work together to fix whatever issue needs to be fixed.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. How may I sign up for the Mid-Manager Institute for September 29th and the pre-conference workshops?
Did you want to take it or you want me to?
You can.
Okay, super excited that you're still interested. Yes, please do sign up. It's in your registration, so whenever you go through your registration process, you can select which pre-conference institute you'd like. And on there, it includes the fee and all that good stuff, and then you can just process the payment the same way that you would during your registration.
Yeah, and if you have already registered for conference as a whole and are wanting to add a pre-conference opportunity, you can definitely do that. The easiest way logistically is for you to just go back in and register as if you're registering for conference, and just make sure to select that pre-conference that you are interested in. But we can also get it added to the back end if we need to do it that way. The pre-conference session that is happening at 3 p.m. on Sunday is a free session. So that is a free opportunity for our members to engage in with Dr. Ashley Spicer Reynolds, and she will kind of dive through a couple of different things. I believe she'll be talking about her book or her workbook that she developed and published, but that is a free opportunity, whereas the institutes in that morning and early afternoon are have an additional required fee.
Are there any opportunities to find out how to collaborate with other professionals to do research?
You can go for it, Neil.
Yeah, sure. I haven't talked yet, so I'm just like dying over here. But I'll tell you, yeah, there's a lot of ways. Go to sessions, especially ones that you're interested in, and we've done a lot of work on the assessment that happens after each session, and each one of them now has a portion, thanks to Jaime over here, that actually is meant to facilitate exactly that. So if you want to learn more from the speaker, or you want to have a way to contact them to collaborate, like, we've embedded that in. So that makes it even easier. So you don't have to just awkwardly wait in line after they're done, when everybody's congratulating them and applauding. You can awkwardly do it later via this. So that's one way. There's lots of ways though. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, I think we have some good educational sessions this year that are talking about the different educational paths in terms of degrees to continue on in the student affairs profession. And so I think that's also a good starting point. We will also have a lot of faculty in attendance of different higher education programs, whether that's master's programs or doctoral programs, and they can definitely answer some questions and get connected about those types of research opportunities as well. And so those are just a couple of options. But again, going back to what Jaime presented on earlier, just starting off that networking, and that might be one of those questions that you ask people and kind of how you put those feelers out.
Is there anything new and different for participants this year?
Yes. So we are still in the works of a couple of different attendee experience type opportunities, but one thing that we have solidified is some headshot opportunities for our members to engage in. And so again, one of the really cool aspects about us partnering with some institutions to host our conference is that they have a lot of different resources, usually in their student center. And so one of those resources in the LBJ Student Center is the Career Center, and the Career Center at Texas State has a headshot booth that they have willingly offered us and our participants to use. So we will publish the hours of that headshot booth, but it is completely free to members, and they can just walk up and get their headshot taken. And that is a really cool thing that we are able to offer our members this year.
I'm gonna model that. Look at my headshot 8. Y'all go ahead and take advantage of it. It's super easy to use, and you can do some quick touch-ups or whatever else you need before you leave. But I definitely recommend it. And it gets sent directly to your email. So if you need to get access it later on, you can. But yeah, definitely recommend it. It's completely free. Catch your friends, go and get them new headshots for their LinkedIn and all that great stuff. But I also wanted to do a shout out. We're going to try to do moderators for our session this year. And so if you're somebody who's been coming to TACUSPA for a while, has a lot of great feedback that they can offer to presenters and all that great stuff, we're going to be offering a session moderator who will be able to, of course, introduce the sessions and all that great things, but also be able to provide a little more feedback to our presenters. And so it's a great career opportunity to continue to grow. We know feedback is so important for our own growth, but also being able to provide back to our communities in that way as well.
What types of educational sessions are there this year?
All right, so in terms of our educational sessions, we had a really good turnout in terms of the amount of people that put in some proposals. And so we were really excited to be able to offer a wide variety. And one of those questions on the form is asking about what type of audience is this for? What type of format are you wanting to do, like Jaime was talking about earlier? And then also what type of competencies are you trying to showcase and share with your attendees? And so we were able to use that to really dive deep into the types of sessions that we wanted to host. This year, there's a lot of identity-based sessions, but also some leadership sessions sprinkled in there, and then some really interesting ones about like Title IX, free speech, and more of those legal issues that can occur on campuses. And so we're really excited about that. And then there is one unique program this year that will give attendees the opportunity to learn about some training that is taking place at Texas A&M. And hopefully we can gain some interest into getting that as a pre-conference next year so that our attendees can walk away with a certification and a training. So there's kind of a crash course on that. So we're excited to offer that. But yeah, we have a wide variety, a lot for some of those newer professionals, but a wide variety of formats and different competencies.
Will there be opportunities for scholarships this year?
All right. Yes, there was the opportunity for the graduate student scholarship. That typically opens a couple of months in advance to conference and gives graduate students the opportunity to express interest in the conference. That application has already closed, but that's a pretty routine opportunity that TACUSPA and the foundation do together. So anticipate that for next year as well. And then we also, something new last year, and I have not heard if the marketing team is going to do it again. But we hosted a biggest buzz competition, and the biggest buzz was to see, I don't even remember the logistics of it. Jaime, do you want to explain? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, as the award receiver, of course. So the biggest buzz was just being able to present, having the conversation continue after your presentation. So whether that was kind of on social media, again, thinking about tagging people, posting on your story on Twitter, tagging us or LinkedIn. It was being able to get that conversation continuing even after the session. So we looked over and saw whose sessions had the most conversations, and that's how we were able to award it.
Yeah, and so not a formal scholarship, but through that competition, we awarded them with some free registration as well. So there's definitely a couple of different engagement opportunities. And if our marketing team is looking at doing that or something similar, then they will definitely share that during conference.
What is each of y'all's favorite memory from past TACUSPAs?
I'll go. Mine, I have some really great memories, but mine I think is definitely from the last one. So um, I was really enjoying myself when we were in El Paso, and uh, we had the buses that would take us from the hotel to the center, and I was just really like writing notes and on fire about webinars. I was like, man, there's so much we could do with this. And so I met this guy right behind me, and I just started going off on like, okay, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and he was like, He was so nice about it, and we ended up we kept talking, and then like a week later, I feel like it was a week later. I met the new person who was going to be over webinars, and that was Josh Meredith. And so uh, he's like, by the way, you're on the committee. And so I'm like, yeah, thank you. But I remember, it's just funny how things can happen. And, if you just take a risk and talk to people, and even if you're just kind of like brain dumping, you might meet somebody who's going to become a friend for life. So uh, it's one of the best things that happened to me last year was meeting Josh.
That's awesome. I feel like I have to follow that up now. Like I have so many great memories of my only TACUSPA experience, which was last year. But yeah, one of them was definitely just getting roped into leading webinars. Serving, as a Thomas Mormon fellow and going to the board meeting. And I remember um I forget who it was, but one of the board members like put me on the spot and was like, "Well, do you want to go ahead and lead webinars like this year?" And I was like, sure, I guess." But no, just putting myself out there, and I think we just struck up a conversation on the bus. I don't remember who started. I think it was me reaching out, just saying, "Hey, who are you? Like, is it your first conference?" Or small talk, and then leading to a conversation on webinars. Just take advantage of those moments, take advantage of breakfast. Because for me, like I've made so many valuable connections. And even though I'm in another state, I did the math, looked it up on Google Maps. I'm 3 states away, but I'm actually about 100 miles closer to Galveston than where I previously was in Texas. So, like I'm farther away, but I'm still close to Texas. So, but no, favorite memory would be just all the people I met last year, having virtual meetings and whatnot as a fellow, and then getting to the conference and finally being able, as someone who's very social and very outgoing, just all the connections that, yeah, even though I'm no longer in Texas, we're gonna be friends and mentors and connections for life. So there's so much else that's amazing at the conference that I gleaned and from the sessions, but just the people, the relationships, the networking is most valuable um, and most enduring. So thank you for the shout out, Neil.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. A funny fun fact. So when we hosted TACUSPA in Austin in 2022, I went to a conference or a session that was hosted by my current director talking about the current program I'm working for. Little did I know I'd be working in this position 2 years later, but it was just such a great way to, again, circle back and be like, hey, in my interview, I brought up the fact that I heard about this at the TACUSPA conference, and I think it got me the job, but it was just super cool to have the opportunity. If you know me and you know anything about my relationship, I met my partner at TACUSPA last year. Crazy. We competed against each other, and apparently that's my love language because I was just head over heels. And so it was just great opportunity. I think that's my favorite memory. I can't beat that one out. And so, take networking seriously, y'all, because you never know where it's gonna land you. Hashtag we met at TACUSPA.
Yeah, I think the common theme here is the networking opportunities that can happen. I think back to my first conference at TACUSPA, and we were in Austin, and I didn't know a single soul. I was a fellow and was really lost and kind of lonely. And those on the schedule it says dinner on your own. And I'm like, ooh, that's like really intimidating. And I don't know, how I want to kind of navigate that. And so that first year I kind of just like wandered around and found people that I could engage in. And then this past year, again, dinner on your own, we were leaving the president's reception, and there was a group of people that just ended up in the elevator, and we were all talking about what we wanted to do. We got off the elevator and stood in the lobby of that hotel, and there ended up a big group of us, and we all just decided to go to dinner together. Unplanned, unorganized, which is definitely not my usual. I like to be very prescripted. And it just kind of happened. And there was probably 20 of us around this table at the end of the night. And it was a beautiful time to just get to know people that you were sitting next to, but then also build those a big community there. But it just kind of happened by happen chance. I think we just ended up on the elevator together and decided to make plans. So a lot of it is like unplanned. And so that's something that I definitely had to learn to lean into when engaging and attending conferences, since I like to be a little bit more planned out.
So after talking about your favorite memory, that brings me to my next question. What are you most excited for this year?
I think the obvious one is reconnecting. You know, I haven't seen any of y'all in person since, well, besides Alyssa. Alyssa and I have been at some SGA regional conferences together, but for the rest of y'all, I haven't seen y'all since the last conference. And so just reconnecting and feeling less of, I was really anxious last year going in of like, I know some of these people from a tile on a Zoom, meeting, but I've not actually shaken their hand and had coffee with them and gotten to know them. And so I think just reconnecting and deepening some of those relationships and building on, what we accomplished last year. And then just learning. I mean, even though I'm not in Texas anymore, there's still going to be so much to lean into and to learn and to glean from the conference. And so I'm really excited to soak it all up and give it one last hurrah as a I don't know, ex officio member of TACUSPA.
I can certainly echo that. Like it's weird to to say that I haven't seen Josh or Brooke or I've never actually met Jaime in person, I don't think. And those are three people that I talk to on the regular, and it just it's weird because the relationships do run deep. And I'm really, really excited for that. I'm really excited about my presentation that I'm doing with three members from my cohort. Um, I think that's going to be really, really nice, kind of for the same reasons. Like, we talk constantly, but uh, we'll get to actually be around. And then, yeah, like dinner plans with old friends and stuff. But also like new connections. Like I'm really excited about things that I will that are going to surprise me, that I know are going to happen because they happen every single time. I always meet somebody. I always make a new connection, and you know, especially in a state like, we're a big state, but I feel like a lot of our problems are specific, and they rhyme. And you know, this TACUSPA is really cool in that everybody is going to know what you're talking about. Like when you say SB 17, or when you say, um, you know, a base year, like everybody's going to know, oh yeah, 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 what you're talking about. And that's really, really cool, because you can skip so much and just get to knowing a person, because you already understand so much. So I think that's what I get really, really excited about. Even though I will be personed out completely by the end, like it's the good kind of exhaustion.
And I was gonna say meeting Neil for the first time. That's definitely something I'm excited about. A lot of the, like we had mentioned, a lot of the fun friends that I've learned have just been through text message or Zoom calls. And so having the opportunity to meet up and take pictures and posting them on my socials, that's definitely me. But also just having the opportunity to have it in my home. I think, like I said, San Marcos is so important to me. I literally live at Texas State, and so I get to go home and sleep in my bed afterwards and see my dog. Don't gotta worry about that. But I think that's gonna be in the area where we're just so central to Texas. There's so much great things to do. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, also like you said, presenting. I'll be presenting with my undergraduate students. So come check out our session if you are interested in learning how to develop first-gen leaders.
So I think there's a lot of different things that I'm excited for, and I don't want to pick one specific one, but something that I will share. I know, Neil, I know. Something I will share that I am excited about is the direction that TACUSPA is headed. I think that the board members that are going to be taking their positions at conference, I'm really excited to see everything that they can do, and the direction that we are headed. I also, as a 2025 co-chair, 2025 is our centennial year. So TACUSPA was established in 1925. And so this is going to be a big conference year in 2025. And so I'm really excited about what that means. So I will plug the conference planning committee, because I think there's going to be some great things that we are able to do. And something I'm excited about is, after planning this year, I know how long things take, what the process is, what we need to do. And so I'm ready to streamline some of that and make it a smoother experience for our participants and our committee members. And so I'm just super excited for what 2025 will hold as our centennial conference, and just the direction that we're headed. 2025 is also the year that we will redo our strategic plan as an organization. And so our president-elect and President Myra Hernandez will be in charge of that process. And so I'm excited to see what comes of that and just the direction that TACUSPA is headed.
Awesome. Well, as somebody that has never been to TACUSPA, this just made me super excited for all of the opportunities, the networking, the learning that will be done there. I'm over the moon right now because I'm so excited to go. As somebody who is very socially awkward, I'm so excited for the bingo part, giving me excuses to go up to people. In that bingo piece I've been working on, making sure that questions relate both personally and professionally. So make sure that y'all do y'all's bingo game. Yeah, and I'm so excited to meet all of y'all as well. But that is all for the questions. I'm gonna throw it back to Josh. Yeah, thank y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Alyssa, for facilitating. And a round of applause. I mean, throwing you into that facilitation role. Alyssa served as our fellow. And for me, it was a lot of pressure because I transitioned jobs and I didn't want to leave Alyssa hanging, like to still guide her through her fellowship process. So thank you, Alyssa, for your hard work, all your questions, your diligence in preparing the bingo activity, for helping, craft some of our announcement emails for webinars, for jumping in and facilitating today. You've worked really hard, and the conference will be the culmination of all of our efforts. And so, thanks everyone for attending today. Um, Panelists, any final words before we part? Anything we forgot to include or mention, or anything else you all want to add in here?
I just want to thank you so much, Josh, for all you've done. Like webinars had stopped, and you got them going through force of will, and I'm just super proud of you. And a little hurt that you're abandoning me, but I'm so grateful, and you've made a mark.
Well, thank you, thank you. I need to give Yuri Sonia a shout out because she kind of lit a fire and was like, "Hey, let's have a meeting. Like, let's get this going." And she kind of helped really give direction. So shout out to Yuri Sonia, who's no longer at Odessa, is at Texas A&M Texarkana, I believe. But thank you, Yuri Sonia. She's not on our attendee list, but hopefully she'll watch the recording. She really helped guide this and in those reboot efforts, getting webinars going again. A shout out to her. But thanks to y'all. Thanks for your support. This is my final webinar that I'll be hosting. So I have allocated the time on my calendar. We're making logistical arrangements. I will be at the conference. So I look forward to seeing y'all. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks to TACUSPA. Thanks everyone for your support, and we'll see you later.